Hello and welcome to Comics in Quarantine, Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Erich McElroy. Welcome to the show. This is where two comics who are in quarantine solve problems. Kind of put it all in the title there, I suppose. But basically, it's where we will solve problems that you can send us, because it is a live show, so you can send us during the various messaging things that are out there before you. And also, we tackle the day's news.
Yeah, let's get all this business fixed. And, oh, sorry, before we crack on, I meant to...
Yeah.
It adds to the natural curl of the manly beard. There we go. Show business, love. So there's been loads of big stories when it comes to what's been happening with our dealing with COVID over here. I think the big one really is about the fact that the shops are open. Front page of the Metro. Cue here to get UK PLC going again. And down the bottom, hopefully you can read it. Shoppers wait for 2 hours in line, up to a mile long.
Whoa.
Now, that's quite an impressive stat, isn't it? You hear that and you go, wow, up to a mile long. But queues being a mile long means nothing these days in a world where we are forced to socially distance. There's a lot of space in there, you know, it's like in the atom. So if we look at it this way, the gap between the two patrons, two shoppers, is 2 meters. Now, obviously, it's not just that distance, because shoppers have depth as well. If you imagine that's a shopper, you can see from the front to their back a certain amount of space is required. And seeing as a lot of people also go shopping with rucksacks, that's going to add more space. So I think I could probably call it 2 meters plus a meter either side of shopper. So your repeating unit will be 3 meters times n, the number of shoppers, needs to equal a mile. And we all know that a mile equals 1,609 meters. So given that, you divide that by your repeating unit and you find out it's only 536 shoppers. I don't know what everyone's getting all stressed about. Also, let's remember that back in the old days, before this, when shoppers were closer, that was probably your repeating unit. And if anyone who's ever wore a rucksack knows, other shoppers get pretty bloody close and keep nudging your bloody rucksack. So put that in to this equation. QL, your queuing length, equals n, the number of shoppers, times S, the shopping spacing distance. And then you can times it together and you find out that actually it's a queue that's 0.3 miles. I don't know what everyone's getting so excited about. You'd never see a headline that was shoppers queued for less than a third of a mile. Stupid maths.
You really don't have anything to do during this lockdown, do you? I mean, we're talking...
You can tell. You can tell. So, yeah, I mean, I'm less impressed by the queues, but it is true. A lot of people wasted their time queuing to buy things that they didn't need. Because before Monday, it was only the essential shops that were open, things that we truly needed. And then they opened up the non-essential ones, the things that we don't need, and people queued for that longer. People are more interested in buying things that they don't want in comparison to things that they actually do. Which means, if you're thinking of opening a shop, you really want to open a shop that absolutely nothing about what it sells is of use. I've made an advert for it.
Come on down to the Totally Not Essential store. We have things you don't need at low, low prices. Select from our wide range of items you'll never use. Like this, laminated soap. No lather, but it lasts longer than any other brand. Tired of not feeling things when wearing protective handwear? Try these fingerless latex gloves. You'll have your safety in the palm of your hand, but nowhere else. Try our rentals department, where you can hire a double-decker bus for Lib Dem MP field trips. Looking for a gift? We sell vouchers for all top brands. Monsoon, Victoria's Secret, Debenhams, Bright House, and of course, Woolworths. Visit this weekend and get these indicator bulbs half price. Think they look useful? Think again. They're for BMWs. The Totally Not Essential store. Why bother?
Already some feedback on that coming through. Mark Randall says, why put a mile when people have to be 2 meters apart? Shouldn't it be 1.5 kilometers? You're right, Mark. They are confusing their units, imperial in metric. It winds me up. Mark says, evening. Mandy says, hi. I'm in South Africa. And Brand says, hello. We're up to date.
Wow, look at that. I don't even know what kind of measurement they have in South Africa.
Yeah, it's the rand.
Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, that is one of the charms of this. I mean, because in America we don't bother with any of that metric stuff because it is clearly foreign and what will eventually get us, like putting that chlorination in the water. But here you just blend it, which I mean, I guess after December 31st we don't have to do meters anymore because we'll be free from Brexit. So that'll be a good thing.
That math is going to get a lot harder as well. Thanks Brexit for making my pretend maths rants even harder for me to prepare during the day.
Yeah, you have to do it in both systems after that. Yeah, that's well. I mean, the thing is,
have you shopped yet?
I have not shopped yet. No, I'm still relying on the old delivery. Those heroes coming in, but I mean, I think so. The food was essential. Now the non-essential shops are essential. We, however, Steve, are still not essential.
Oh yeah, of course we're not. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah.
No one.
Do you know, I actually thought that we'd learn to get better values because we've been in lockdown long enough to break a habit. So maybe we're in the habit of buying stuff we didn't need. But if lockdown's taught us anything, you only need to order in the essentials, and you can. If you don't need it, don't buy it. But no, as soon as the shops were open, people were rushing down to Primark to buy something they will use once and throw away. Very much like when we were toilet paper panic buying. So actually, I can see why we were so practiced. Good point.
Well, to be fair, if I have to put on long trousers anytime soon, I'm going to have to head down to somewhere because I need some elastic waistbands.
Yes, all good.
This has been quite a lockdown for me. Thank you for joining us, by the way. And also, if you'd like to, talking about how non-essential we are, one of the only ways we have to make income these days is if you like what we're doing, you can contribute. And we have a new payment link. Steve, should we mention that?
Down the bottom.
Little Joke Pit fan page there. We've teamed up with Joke Pit, and we're appearing on their Facebook Live page for the first time. So yeah, if you'd like to. And now it doesn't say buy us a coffee anymore. Now you can buy us a drink.
Really? Hell yeah. We're getting back to it, baby.
So, and I love South African beer. So if you want to chuck us a few quid or whatever you've got handy, we do appreciate that. And if you have any problems you want us to solve, use all the messaging things that are there and open, and we will definitely not solve your problem. So let me just clarify that. But I think a lot of the news stories we've been talking about, Steve, we've been talking a lot about COVID. We've been talking about the protests here in the UK and in the US. There is other things that happen. Did you know that?
Are you sure? I'm
sure. I am absolutely sure, because this is the time of year where the Supreme Court in the United States delivers its decisions for the year. They do it in the springtime, and they go off in the summer, and I think they're all old and drink the blood of babies or something. They're lizard people. But the big case that was decided was that it is now illegal to discriminate against people because of their sexual orientation in the U.S. It was a huge breaking headline news. I think we got proof of it right there. Yep, from the good old Washington Post. The law they used to make this decision, which now makes it illegally, federally, across all of the United States, to discriminate against anyone based on their sexual orientation, was the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which bans discrimination in employment based on race, religion, national origin, or sex. Now that was the key word in the court's decision, sex. The court expanded sex to include sexual orientation. But don't just take my word for it. Here's how Fox News explained it.
This is 172 pages over the meaning of the word sex. Did the word sex, S-E-X, the simple word sex, mean in 1964 what it means today? And it used the word sex. And when a human being is discriminated against on the basis of sexual orientation or sexual attraction or sexual behavior, that is discrimination based on sex.
Oh, God.
Oh, you stopped the...
Yeah.
Stop the music there. Sorry, I was still jamming. He said sex 9 times. Now, the decision by the court was by a majority of 6-3. So that's actually a decent-sized majority. And it was written by Trump nominee Neil Gorsuch. Now, Trump had been trying to roll back gay and trans rights. And so to have his nominee be the one who actually wrote the decision for this, not only was he adding to the votes, but it was a conservative majority that helped deliver this decision. But it's against what Trump has been doing all this time. It was his nominee. So, of course, we know when Trump doesn't like something, he heads straight to Twitter. And you can see what he said on Twitter about it right here.
Not good,
He didn't have anything to say.
Yeah.
He couldn't say anything because it was his guy. And his guy did it. Now, of course, Trump can hide on Twitter, but he can't always hide from the press. And so he was asked by a member of the press what he thought about his guy basically voting against him.
Do you have any reaction to the Supreme Court decisions earlier today about LGBT discrimination, saying that is protected under the Civil Rights Act?
No, they've ruled. I've read the decision, and
Yeah, he didn't read the decision. He doesn't. It was 172 words. There's no way he read that decision, because if he had, this would have been the headline from the story. Trump reads something. The book was only 6 pages. It had mostly pictures of boobies. We have learned something from this, right? If you want to do something that Trump will not like, the best thing to do is to write it down. Because then it didn't happen.
Yeah. It's like using invisible ink, but it doesn't have to be invisible because he's not going to look.
He's not, if you put boobies in there, because he'll take his Sharpie, but don't do that. Well, just write it down. He
talked about sex a lot, so I think it's quite impressive. I mean, some of the questions that were asked in there, if ever, firstly, old people talking about sex like that was I forgot a weird feeling on the innards. I don't know if I enjoyed it or not. I'm not sure which one I'd be happy with. The question, does sex still mean the same thing it did in the 60s? Yes. Just back then there were more pubes, but that's the only thing that's changed, isn't it?
Those are good times.
Oh, look at him he's remembering. Let's move on before we get too far. Mark says Star Trek was metric pretty much since day one.
Ooh.
Interesting. I didn't know that warp was an SI unit. Well, good to know. And also Colin says, I'm surprised that Trump can spell sex. Probably has someone to help him. We've got some more questions. We'll get around to doing those. But before we move away from Trump, I want to look. Everyone's mean about Trump all the time, and you know me. If ever I'm here to do anything, I'm here to make Trump feel better. And it was his birthday, so maybe we shouldn't be so mean to him. This was reported in the Express. Donald Trump's snub. Melania would not celebrate Trump's birthday and is missing from photos. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Do they mean she wasn't there to be photographed, or she doesn't show up on photographs? Does she have a reflection? I mean, she might be a vampire, but if she is a vampire and doesn't have a reflection, well done for being a model. I mean, how do you... Well done, congratulations. I feel sorry for anyone who has a birthday during lockdown, because I know you had one a few weeks ago, back in May, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's not the same, is it? Because you can't have a birthday party. You can't invite people around for a big party. You certainly can't play statues unless you have to roll yourself into a river these days, and not everyone's got one of those. So it's not fair. So I want to do something nice for Donald Trump. And Donald, if you're watching, and I know he's a big fan of the show, got you this. Ooh, little drinky poos. It's a different box for something else. I just thought it'd make it easier for me to send it. Donald.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday! Look at that. I can only get Co-op brand, but some of us are self-employed, and Rishi Sunak seems to hate us. So, do you know what? Seeing as I can't send it, I'll pour you a little drink now. Donald.
You ate my birthday cake.
This one's for you. There we go. That is... do you know when we first did this bit about bleach? I wanted to do a bit where I drank it on the show, and Eric wouldn't let me. So...
Gotta let it breathe.
It's breathing to Donald. To Donald. And I will say, I won't do the childish thing of saying don't try this at home. But what I will say, if you're going to do this at home, make sure you've got 2 glasses, one for the bleach and one for the water. It's the only top tip.
Very important.
Happy birthday,
Kids,
Donald.
if you're watching. Happy birthday, Donny boy. Yeah. Right. I mean, it is interesting. Having a birthday. I mean, well, he got to golf. I guess that's an important part of his birthday. So, I mean, he must have been happy with that. No one tried to burn down the White House for a weekend, so that was a good thing. I will say, Trump making a big deal about it. I mean, a birthday is obviously another year older. It's interesting that, in looking at that, because one of the things that Trump has been doing is trying to comment on Joe Biden's age. That's been a tactic of the campaign that they used quite a bit. And, he's been saying things like Sleepy Joe. He's been implying that Joe doesn't know what's happening most of the time. And he's been doing all this because Joe Biden is a man in his 70s, in contrast to Trump, who is a man in his 70s. So you can see what he's doing there. It's a big difference. But I think Trump needs to be careful about that, because obviously there's moments like something that happened this weekend where Trump is starting to show his age as well. like this, where he was trying to walk down a ramp the other day. It's just painfully slow, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's not sprightly. And lots of people have been making comments on the slow walk, making jokes about that he looks weak, and he did not like that. And for this, he definitely took to Twitter. Now, before we put this tweet up, Steve, I do want to say, I've resisted doing a Trump impression all of this time because I didn't want to acknowledge him as president. But I realized he could win again, and I'm a comedian, and it's got legs. So I've been working on different Trump voices to try and get it ready. So we'll put the tweet up that he said about this, and so I'm going to do my Trump voice. The ramp that I descended after my West Point commencement speech was very long and steep. It had no handrail, and most importantly, was very slippery. The last thing I was going to do was fall for the fake news to have fun with. Final 10 feet, I ran down to the level ground. Momentum.
Momentum.
I don't think he means the Division of Labor Party. What do you think? Is that...
It was like he was in the room. It was brilliant. Yeah. I nearly picked up the glass and cheers you again, but now I can't remember which one's which, so I'm not going to do it.
Now, this next little bit, Steve, this is for you, because I know you like your science, because you were allegedly studied science.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Look at what you're doing now.
Good point.
Yep. You saw the ramp. Would you say that was a very steep ramp?
I would say it's an acute ramp.
Ooh, don't flirt with the ramp.
Yeah, there we go. Even without preparing, we can set them up and knock them down.
Well, if you weren't sure about how steep the ramp was, God bless Twitter, because this tweet was one of my favorites. This is a great heckle. Somebody put on there an online protractor, which actually shows it's an 11-degree angle. I mean, so I love that. I mean, that's a website. I would imagine you're going to play with that website, aren't you, Steve?
Oh, yeah. That sounds pretty good. Measuring angles. Yeah. My evenings are sorted.
There you go. Now, I do have a bit of an exclusive, Steve, that only comes with Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems, brought to you on Joke Pit right now. This is a very special thing. We actually, because Trump had just finished making a speech before he walked down the ramp, we actually were able to get, because sometimes people leave their mics on, he was hot mic'd. We can hear what Trump was saying as he walked down the ramp.
Steps, 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 steps.
He's a big boy.
Good news. Jessica says Eric has the best Trump impression ever. So you're on the money on that one. Look, I can't believe I've got the role. The Brit over here has to be the one defending Donald Trump. But I remember when Theresa May went over there and he held her hand because he doesn't like steps. So they gave him a ramp. Turns out he doesn't like ramps either. This guy, it's lift or nothing with this guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mark says, Mad Men and Bunkers. Chris says he only plays golf so he can hide in the bunkers if the protesters are near. Yes, I'm with you. I see where you're doing that. Mark says, you never see Melania Trump and Victoria Beckham in the same place, do you? Although, to be fair, you never see me and Melania in the same place. No. So if you're going to go with the conspiracy theory, I also don't sleep with Donald Trump. I don't know where this is going, but fair enough.
Yeah. You are getting more orange, but that's your beard. Yeah, so that's something else. Someone else, James, noticed that you do a cute ramp as well, Steve, and that I was asking if you fancy the ramp. So again, it's been a long quarantine.
Who said that, James? James, no need to be so obtuse.
Hey, look at that, James. You got two jokes there.
Got two angle jokes.
And if you do like any of the jokes that you're hearing, or you want to make a stop, one of the ways you can do that is to contribute. We've got our new fan page where you can donate, the jokepit.com fan page /CIQSP. So you can buy us a drink, buy us a coffee, buy us whatever you want, and we would appreciate that. So if you want to keep us going, and also don't forget to also tell people about the show because we're on a couple times a week. So that's always nice if more people are watching.
Got some more messages to go in a room that really is filling up the smell of bleach. Colin says his head was bowed down to counteract the velocity of the wind towards his barnet. There's a lot of maths going into this. Trump is just getting old and he hates to admit it. We all shuffle. Maybe you thought that was. Look, I love the fact momentum. Yeah, he's got more momentum because momentum is mass times speed, and he's gained a few pounds, although he doesn't admit it.
Yeah.
Brand says, does he know how to write an intelligent stance? With his bad back, I don't think he can do any stance. And the Bishop says, I heard that there were massive queues at Primark because they were flogging thongs for £1 each. Managed to get you to. He got us some. That's nice. His thongs are essential. You try telling an Essex girl they aren't. The Bishop lives in Essex as well, so that is research.
Wow, we go from Essex to South Africa.
This is the show where it
is
all
there anywhere
happens.
else in the world?
No. And you know what? Look, I realise we are providing a service here. Hopefully, in some way, this show brings a little bit of a smile to your face in a time that can be, admittedly, quite troubling. So I've brought a little good news section. Some stories that you should just find a bit more positive. If you're in the UK, today was the day that we heard that a footballer, Marcus Rashford, wrote a letter to the Prime Minister, and it's been listened to. There will now be meals for vulnerable children provided through the summer. This is amazing news, and it's so good that it was an emotional letter that caused it. So far, we don't know if the Prime Minister is going to respond to the letter sent by footballer Wayne Rooney, although to be fair, it's probably that. He did a very nice picture, and if you look at it, it turns out the picture of the lady there, the CC credit card. I wonder who that could be. Also, in good news, look, for a while now we've been worried about the death rate of coronavirus. Today's Downing Street briefing in the UK gave us the wonderful news that there is a cheap steroid. The headline in The Guardian is this: Johnson hails breakthrough of cheap steroid that helps prevent COVID-19 deaths as it happens. First question, why is The Guardian trying to do a Jimmy Savile impression? I think it's inappropriate, Guardian, given it's prevent COVID deaths. Now, as it happens, there's no need to do that. But also we should point out, because I'm a health and safety kind of broadcaster, even though I just drank some bleach, it's not just any cheap steroids. It is particularly that deroxydone thing. Don't just go having any old cheap steroids. They won't do you good, and I don't want to be the one to have to tell them. If you say to someone who's been on cheap steroids that what they did wasn't good, they don't tend to be the calmest of people. I spoke to one earlier.
I'm so angry and my balls are so small.
It's the weird thing about steroids. Apparently they make your balls smaller. So how small must the Hulk's balls be? You never see them in the film. You never see Melania in the same place as the Hulk's balls. I don't know. And then there's another happy news story sent in to us in the week. You can email us, track us down on the internet. Philip Brannan sent us a story, and it is the story of someone who was trapped in one of those portable toilets during a storm. Here's what happened.
Damn, son.
Ooh. He must have thought, I don't remember eating that. It's truth. But it doesn't matter how bad your day has been, at least you've not been put into a portable chemical toilet and shaken around like you're in a cocktail maker. So yay, happy times.
Yeah, and with the shortage of hand sanitizer these days,
Ooh.
that would not be good.
Not even good for the skin.
No, not even good. Yeah, if you rub it in.
So that's my slice of happy news.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said you were going to do some happy news, so I thought I wanted to jump on that bandwagon as well. I don't want to be doom and gloom and talk all politics at the same time. So I thought I found I just did a quick search, and I got a couple of headlines that might be good news. The first one, what do we got? India and China border dispute turns death. That's not really the spirit of what we're going for. Sorry. Give you the next one. What's the next story? That North Korea blows up joint liaison office with. Oh God, no! There's just no good news anymore. I know I found something good. There was something about puppies. Show me the puppy one. Show me. Sunshine kills puppies. Oh no! Sunshine and daylight kills puppies and makes kittens cry real tears. Oh shit! Sorry. Oh God.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, it's a difficult time.
I thought I could find something. I think you found the only 3 good news stories in the entire.
And one of those involves a guy being covered in crap. But hey, you've got to take the wins where you can get them.
Boy.
Right, before we move on to, we've got another topic to go. Barry says, how do we solve world poverty? Wow, thanks for throwing us an easy ball to try and solve there.
Well, one of the ways, Steve, I've got this. You can donate to jokepit.com/fan page/CIQSP.
And technically, it won't solve all of world poverty, but it will help 2 people out. And 2 people is a small but significant proportion of 7 billion. So, thank you very much. Jessica says this is the 2 Ronnies for the 21st century. Good evening. Who would have thought I wouldn't be Ronnie Barker? Out of the 2 of us, you should have been the one doing the Corbett impression. Come on. Good evening.
Nah, I don't know how to do that. That's before my time.
Mark says, it does bring a smile to my face. Good. And you didn't have to get covered in crap in a small box. You see, the world's not too bad at all.
That's what we like to do. Right. So are we ready for, we got one more story, I think, here. We've got time for one more. This headline caught my eye from New York, where apparently over the weekend, sunbathers not only didn't wear their masks, they didn't wear their pants. Now, this doesn't seem to be, there's the headline there. This doesn't seem to be the best medical advice. So we thought we would check with an expert. And we reached out to Dr. Bunstenholter Unterhos to find out more. And we've got him on the line now. Dr. Unterhos, we've learned a lot about face coverings and so on. Shouldn't we also be wearing pants and trousers as well?
Yeah, the face coverings are helpful, but if you don't have a face covering to hand, you can take off your undergarments and actually place them on your face or the face of someone within 2 meters of you.
Would wearing someone else's underpants really be a good idea?
It depends on many things. What color are they?
I don't know. But in Central Park, people weren't wearing masks or pants.
Interesting. The science is not finished, but not wearing any pants is something that I know myself, and a few of my close friends have been researching down at the service station of the M4. And as long as you keep it to that stuff, you should be fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Underhose. Thank you. That's fine. Thank you. Is that your GP, Steve?
Sounds like him, yeah.
Good Lord. So yeah, I'm not sure what the science is on there. Don't drink bleach and keep your pants on.
I mean, look, to be fair, when they talk about the areas in which you're likely to catch the virus, it's normally eyes, mouth and nose. I don't know of any case of anyone who's caught coronavirus up the devil's pocket. So maybe actually, they always say don't touch your face. They don't say don't touch your bum. So you can certainly spread the virus via farts. We learnt that in earlier episodes. But whether you could receive the virus in the bottom, I am perfectly happy never finding out.
Yeah, I got to tell you, not for lack of trying, Steve. Not for lack of trying.
Oh, dear. Thank you very much for your messages. Now the shops are open. Does that mean that shoplifters are now off furlough? Colin, thank you. Good point. Well made. Because we've actually, if anything, I think the criminals have had a terrible lockdown because now everyone's wearing face masks. If you're trying to rob a bank, you'll have to queue up like everyone. In the old days, they knew what you're in there for. Yeah,
every time I go into a shop, I feel like I'm a burglar. It's great.
Although with the way things are going, you will end up having to be.
True. Yeah. That's true. Right. Well, I don't know if if there's no more problems for us to solve.
No, I think we're all up to date with your messages. You can keep them coming through even when we're not on. We're effectively out of time, but you can track us down on the internet, send your stuff via emails, keep the messages coming through. If you've enjoyed the show in any way, this is the new web address to buy us a coffee or a drink. If it's the kind of gig where you'd have thought, yeah, I'd buy these guys a coffee afterwards, can you do the pointing to the other side of it?
Can I? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Let's pick it up that way. We need to work on coordinating that.
Whoop. I mean, that is the worst timing I've ever seen.
We've only been working together comedically for 10 years, so it's fine. Yeah. Yes, and you can share the link. This does stay live on Facebook and also on our YouTube channel, where we also put up little shorts and that kind of thing. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on there. You can check us out on our socials. I'm at Erich McElroy, and you are
at Mr. Stephen Allen. Track me down on there.
That's right.
If we've done there's one final comment to do before we wrap it up. Chris Curling says, covered in shit in 2 different ways tonight: pants and blown over plastic toilet. Very good point. You've really summarised the entire broadcast in 5 words.
Aspire to do, and I'm a parent, and I do this. So we'll be back on Thursday at 9:00, and if there's any problems left in the world by then, I mean, I think we did a pretty good go at it tonight.
Yeah. Till then, we'll fix some more. See you, Thursday night, 9 o'clock British summertime. Till then.